Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into a fascinating new blueprint from the World Economic Forum all about the future of AI and, well, our jobs. We're looking directly at their latest white paper, which maps out exactly how artificial intelligence and human talent are going to collide over these next few years. Let's kick things off with a pretty jarring reality check. Right now, 54.3% of global executives expect AI to displace existing jobs. Yeah, more than half of business leaders are already openly bracing for a massive workforce shakeup. Now, notice the stark contrast in executive priorities here. While nearly half of executives, about 45%, are fully expecting AI to increase their profit margins, only a tiny, almost negligible 12% think it's actually going to lead to higher wages for us. And, that tension right there is exactly why we need to understand where we're heading. So, how do we make sense of all this anxiety? Well, here is our roadmap for 2030. We're going to unpack the AI jobs paradox, map out the four futures, compare exponential versus incremental AI, and then wrap up with some rock-solid strategies to help you survive any of these outcomes. All right, let's jump right into part one, the AI jobs paradox. The future of our workplaces isn't just going to be defined by silicon and code alone. It actually requires this incredibly delicate handshake between AI advancement and our own human capital strategies. The tech is really just the catalyst, right? The actual outcome depends entirely on us. The absolutely crucial point here is that we have to measure two specific vectors against each other to map out four highly plausible realities for the year 2030. Think of AI advancement as just how ridiculously fast the tech gets smarter, and workforce readiness as whether you and I actually have the skills to use it. Which brings us nicely to section 2, mapping out those four futures. When you map these two vectors against each other, every single quadrant drastically alters global outcomes. We go from soaring 1.5% plus productivity growth in some realities to spiking 5% plus unemployment in others. Depending on which scenario we land in, things like consumer confidence, wage polarization, and operating margins are going to swing wildly compared to our current baseline. Let's dive into the first two of those scenarios in section 3, exponential AI, boom or bust. Just imagine a world where AI capital expenditure blows past $1.3 trillion by 2030. That fundamentally turns AI from a simple, handy tool into a core economic actor. In this reality, the infrastructure scales so fast that AI networks become as central and vital to our daily lives as the electricity grid. This sets up a stark boom versus bust reality. And again, it depends entirely on us. Do we have the widespread readiness to actually harness this exponential power? Or does limited readiness just leave us totally in the dust? Okay, let's look at the boom first. In the Supercharged Progress scenario, we adapt quickly, we shift from just executing tasks to proudly orchestrating entire ecosystems of AI agents. Because the workforce is ready, we harness what the report calls the Agentic leap, which is where AI begins acting independently. We see unprecedented global GDP and soaring innovation. But definitely take note of that last point. Even in this best-case scenario, the pace is so unbelievably fast that our social safety nets and governance frameworks still really struggle to keep up. On the flip side, we have the age of displacement. This is the bust. In this scenario, a culture of accelerationism takes hold, where businesses just race to automate at all costs, to bypass scarce talent. Because the workforce isn't ready, end-to-end automation just totally takes over. Unemployment spikes, mobility dries out, and unchecked power concentrates into a handful of massive tech monopolies. It's a world that is technologically brilliant, for sure, but socially broken. But what if the AI bubble kind of pops? That brings us to section 4, incremental AI and its pragmatic realities. In these next two scenarios, the wild hype of the 2020s actually fades out a bit. We're left dealing with the very pragmatic, day-to-day integration of human-AI collaboration. The tech improves, sure, but those massive capability breakthroughs are rare and costly, which forces us to be much, much more selective about how we deploy it. And once again, we see a massive divergence based entirely on our skills. We're looking at either a thriving co-pilot economy where we're ready versus a totally frustrating world of stalled progress where our workforce readiness is limited. In a co-pilot economy, we're using AI to augment our jobs, not replace them. Just imagine slashing your most boring administrative tasks by 80%. This leads to higher job fluidity. And because AI tools lift this skills floor, wage gaps actually narrow slightly among mid and high-skilled workers. It really sparks a golden age of human creativity and gig work.
But if we fail to actually train our workers, we smash right into stalled progress. AI infrastructure stays patchy, productivity is just completely stagnant, and a broken prosperity promise fuels global societal frustration. Businesses simply lean on basic automation to backfill the talent they just can't find, which leads to chronic job insecurity. But fascinatingly, in this stalled digital world, the value placed on skilled manual trades actually skyrockets.
So that leads us directly into our final section, strategies for absolutely any future. After looking at those wildly different realities, you're probably wondering, okay, what do we actually do right now to survive? Well, since we don't have a crystal ball to know which reality will win out, the World Economic Forum outlines several critical, no-regret strategies. And the absolute most critical takeaway here is that you must align your technology investments seamlessly with continuous in-house talent development. It is literally not enough to just buy the software. You need to start small, build fast, and invest deeply in workflows that truly thrive on human-AI collaboration. You've got to anticipate your future talent needs today. Furthermore, building resilient organizations means creating multi-generational teams. Picture older workers learning AI tools directly from younger cohorts. That radically accelerates adoption and bridges culture gaps right there in your office. It builds immense resilience and trust. You also need to prepare for the reality that AI is going to impact different tasks in wildly different ways. And instead of operating in a silo, resilient organizations will lean heavily on strategic partnerships with peers, universities, and startups to share knowledge. So, I'm going to leave you with a pretty provocative thought to ponder today. Look closely at your own skills and your company's strategies right now, and ask yourself, which of these 2030 futures are you actually building? Are you investing in the readiness needed for a co-pilot or supercharged economy? Or are you drifting towards stalled progress and displacement? Think on that and start preparing today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and we'll see you next time.